Well, hello. Is this thing on again? Alright. Well, hello, everybody. Alright, another episode of the Caddy. Previous episode you saw, I showed, maybe I didn't show it yet, how I threw out the filler after I did all the metal work. And now what I did is I threw a thin layer of spot putty all over all the work that I did. Very thin layer. I mean, lay that thing out thin. I did it on both sides. I also did the trunk lid, deck lid, whatever you want to call it. This side I did it also. Here's a better example. Alright, it's really, flat, smooth. Now, you see the filler, the little bit of filler that was left? That's actually smooth, believe it or not. The little bit of filler that was left, alright, there was a spot that fell out, missed, whatever, spot putty filled it. And you see I had already gotten back down to it. Now, that's still a high spot. That's still a high spot. That's still a high spot. So I'm going to have to tap this down a little bit more. And throw maybe just a tad bit of more spot putty on there. Probably don't need any filler. But the rest of it, I just barely hit it. I just barely wet sanded it. Just a quick wet sand to see. The rest of it is smooth as glass and pretty much straight as an arrow. It still needs more work. This first stage, whatever. The point is, see this wet sand dust. The point is, if you saw the previous video, I did from here to here on the deck lid. Yeah, that's spot putty. I kind of like to put it on the edges and hand round them off, so it gives you a little bit more edge to work with when you're getting in the finish. But all you see, I'm sure you can see the difference in the colors. I spot puttied very thin. I mean, scrape across, just scrape the whole thing. It's just amazing how flat it looked on top of all the primer that I already put on it and knocked down, which looked really nice and smooth. Now, granted, I still have a little bit more to do. A little bit. By the time I'm done, you should be barely seeing, hopefully, less spot putty. Who knows? All I know is all that spot putty's left. Some of it's still a little on the high spots, if you can see the difference in the color. I still got to hit it again. Of course, I wet sanded it on the beginning. Now I'm gonna 180 dry sand it real quick, knock it down, and I should get the rest of all the high spots all where you want them. And then I might 220 it. I don't know yet. And either way, it still needs one more layer of high build primer, and then I'll knock all that down with 220 and then 400, and then it'll be ready for paint. Just many one of the steps in the procedure to get it where you don't have, when you look down the paint job and it looks absolutely completely flat, you see not a wave, nothing in the body. This is the type of work that's involved in doing that. As you can see, again, I have not even touched this one yet. I just laid it out real thin with the spot putty. Now, after this gets primed again, I got to knock that down, and then I'm going to put glazing putty all over the whole thing. Real, like just scrape it across like a razor. Real thin. And what that does, it'll fill in any leftover sand marks. And then that you sand down with 400, and it makes the finish absolutely smooth, fills in all the sand marks, and then when you go to paint it, you have an absolutely flat, perfect surface to paint on. Alright, stay tuned for more episodes of The Old Caddy. Have a good night.